topic is a common one. We often encounter parents who started out homeschooling enthusiastically, or even just started a new year very enthusiastically. And then they reach a point where suddenly their children are not as enthusiastic as they are. And they're dealing with despondent kids, reluctant kids, kids that are non-compliant or just frustrated. And it kind of unnerves them a little bit. It feels like the wheels are coming off, and yeah, they start to even feel a little bit panicky sometimes. What must I do? And they're asking for advice. So today we're going to talk about what to do when your kids are not as enthusiastic as you'd like them to be. Yeah. You've never had a day like that, so
never. I mean, no. Yeah, and I think that's the hard thing. We also looking at ideals and reality. We're not talking about children who sit there with their little shiny halos and moms who are smiling and always happy. There are times when the kids are just up to here with work and mom's up to here with attitudes, and it's easy to rather let's try and unbundle why we end up in those situations and possibly offer some ideas that parents can implement to see whether that can change. So what would you say is one of the first reasons for kids to become despondent with the curriculum or the activities or the process of homeschooling?
Well, I think a person has to look at different possibilities. So is it just a child who's lazy and doesn't want to do anything? Are they lazy about their chores? Are they lazy about their schoolwork? Have they just got a bad attitude towards mom in general because she's bossing them around and telling them what to do? So then it becomes a relationship issue and character training for that child. Yeah. And it's maybe not so much an academic or curriculum issue. You've got to really just work on reaching that child's heart and showing them that they can't just be lazy and do what they want to do all through life. There's chores that we all have to do. We all have responsibilities, and then they need to also realize that they're doing whatever they're doing that's educational and book work and academic for themselves. It's not just because mom's got plans to keep them busy for the morning. It's actually for their own good. So sometimes children need to just mature a little bit to reach a point where they kind of just see the light and realize what it's all about. But maybe sometimes it is also just the moms that are just bossing them around. They've got their own ideals, like you say, and they've read Charlotte Mason, and they've read this one, and they've read that one, and they've read all the blogs, and now they want to do all these wonderful things. And the kid just feels like they've just been dragged along on mom's agenda. And then they dig their heels in.
Sorry, I just had to unmute. We've got a very rainy day here, and my dog would love to come and lie on the couch. And I've got her in the kitchen, so there was a bit of a disconnect there in a minute. I 100% agree with you. And if I look back through our many years of homeschooling, there were those times where it was either I had this ideal that I really wanted to, I wanted to have those beautiful moments where we could have classical music playing and sitting together, and everything would be wonderful and peaceful. And those days did happen, but generally not when I planned them. Those would have been sort of like on the spur of the moment. Let's listen to some music while we eat our breakfast, or let's enjoy poetry and tea this afternoon. It's rainy. Let's put on a fire, And sometimes we trip ourselves up by our own plans and over planning our children's every minute. And then, so definitely it's a dual thing. But then at the same time, there were times, and I'm sure in every home, where you can see that your child is just balking at your authority, at your plans, at your training. And you see moms, making jokes. Oh, I'm not going to get through this day without, 10 cups of coffee, or, oh, I'm really going to need my glass of wine tonight. My kids have been so out of control, or whatever. I mean, jokes aside, but the fact is that those are opportunities for us to train our children. And I know that I often say we're not raising children, we're raising adults. And we've got to remember, and I've seen this in my own adult children's working lives, is that you are going to sometimes be in those situations with a boss whose authority you just are struggling to respect. Workloads which are astronomical, and you've got to really dig deep to find the strength to do it. You're going to not agree with maybe a principle that has been put in place at work. And these things where our children are sitting at the desk with us when we're trying to teach them their 10 times, well, 10s are easy. Let's choose a hard one, 7 times stable. And they're just really, hacking on it, and they're just resisting you, and they're resisting the work. That is a time for you to say, I'm training this child for difficult circumstances down the line. I'm not teaching them now about, 7 times 1, 7 times 2, 7 times 3. I'm training them to embrace something that is hard so that it will stand them in good stead one day when it's not a mommy who loves them, but it's a hard taskmaster from a boss or something like that. And that will probably shift that, like, I need another cup of coffee thinking to get through this, to actually in such a privileged position to be able to train and equip my children for adult years. So that dual thing, making sure that we don't trip our children up with our expectations, but at the same time training their hearts to embrace hard things.
Another good tip that somebody once gave me was, and it's not necessarily applicable to every child, but this woman was talking about a particular child of mine, and she said that often strong-willed children need to be given a choice so that they feel that they had some say in what they decide to do with their time. So instead of just bossing them and saying, it's time to sit and do your maths now, you could say to them, would you like to do your maths first, or your English first, or art, whatever it is? And then they feel that they've got some kind of autonomy. And so I think with children like that in particular, but even all children, there needs to be some times where they have a say in what they do.
Yeah.
Whether it's the topics that you choose to study, the curriculum you choose to study, or just what you choose to do first from day to day, give them some say. And then there's that other thing of teaching them to respect when you take charge. But there has to be that balance, I think. Otherwise, kids just do feel like, mom's just got her agenda, and it's just like even a school agenda. If you've just come out of the school system where the kids feel they have absolutely no say, and then they become despondent and reluctant. So I think it's just if you're that mom today, know that you're not alone. There's plenty of other moms who have the same struggle, and you've just got to try something different, either training the child or changing what you're doing or changing your curriculum.
I was going to say, so if we have engaged with our children, we've encouraged them to come up with their own learning topics, given them those choices. If we are consistently training our children in doing hard things and building relationship with them outside of conflict or high stress times, and things are still not working and the children are still despondent, then you might need to just chuck your methodology or chuck your curriculum, or if something is really, really not working after you've tried all of those other things, you might need to have a fresh look at how you are teaching your children. So if you are using a textbook method and the kids are miserable and you are miserable and there's always this batting of the heads, then chuck it. If you've got something that is so loose and so free, and you've got a child who loves structure and wants to have little worksheets, find a way to incorporate that into the day as well. And then of course there's always footprints. We know from the years that parents have used it, that it really does offer a really sweet spot in home education, because there is enough structure for the mom to feel that she's doing something. There's enough freedom for the children to carry on their rabbit trails. So just, you know, if at the end of the day you've done all of these other things and you two are still, you know, you and your kids are still not gelling in the homeschool space, think about making a change with curriculum.
I think we'll end there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, lovely chatting.